Episode 30, Build, TV Lift. When it came time to install the lift, I wish I'd made the hole a couple of inches deeper front to back. The TV and lift fit just fine, but then I decided to add a sound bar to the bottom of the TV. With a normal attachment, the sound bar stuck out too far in front of the TV. I needed to reconfigure the sound bar supports to have it vertically more in line with the TV. The modification worked fine, but a slightly larger hole would have made things easier. Selecting the correct TV lift. The bottom of my other flat screens are about 24 inches from the floor. If a flat screen were 35 inches high, this lift would lift to 59 inches so that the screen can completely recess into the floor. The Nexus 21 XL85 can lift to 65 inches. This meets our 59-inch requirement. Link is below. I also looked at the Touchstone Whisper lift, but it does not lift high enough with only 49 inches of travel. Future Automation had a great plasma floor lift, PLF, but it was around $20,000. Far too expensive for me. I decided to get a 65-inch LG OLED flat screen. It's a great product with deep blacks and great colors. For a soundbar, I selected the Samsung HW-Q990 Bravo. Excellent soundbar, but again I needed to modify my mount because the soundbar would have stuck out too far in front of the flat screen. I needed to have had a bigger hole. To install the XL85 lift, I needed to build a frame in my basement. This frame served two purposes. It moved the lift out from the wall so the lift would be in line with the hole, and it supported the lift at the proper height off the basement floor. I then installed the lift on the frame. So here we're in the basement looking at the Nexus 21 TV lift. And you can see it installed here at the end of the basement wall with everything. And currently we operate it with this little handheld controller. So if I press the up button, you'll see that it begins to operate. And the lift pushes up above, lifting the lid. And down here you can see it just extends up. All the wires are in the little cords there. And then as we go down, so you can see that the TV simply comes up out of the floor. The two little horizontal brackets just below the TV are for the soundbar. I hadn't installed it yet. You can see how high the TV can go. There is a limiter that I engaged later that limits the travel height. This is a more reasonable viewing height. One issue is that I need to design and build a device to block the hole when the TV is up so that nothing can fall through to the basement. And when you're finished, it recesses back into the floor. Once recessed, it is fully hidden and fully load-bearing. Episode 31, Build, Hydronics, Liquid Radiant Floor Heat. You may remember from the design section earlier that I sat down at my computer and drew a Hydronics system in Microsoft Word. This is that drawing. Having sourced the items primarily from supplyhouse.com, I went to work. I began by drawing out all the elements on a 4x8 sheet of plywood. I then began unpacking, seeing if I had all the correct items for my build. I did, and then it was off to the races. My youngest daughter assisted me and learned how to sweat solder. She ended up soldering about half the connections. I packed the manifold in the back of my Yukon XL and drove it the 1,200 miles or so to the build site. I began the manifold install by placing slatboard on my studs. I figured that slatboard would be a good functional look for my utility room. I then laid the manifold on the floor, trying to figure out how I could hang it without damaging it. It was in 2 pieces, each one 4x4 feet. I was able to hang the manifold and then began connecting the expansion tank, boiler, thermostat wires, and Hydronics PEX lines. I have a total of 17 circuits controlled by 12 thermostats. I also ran the black pipe in from the outdoors, providing the propane needed to run the boiler. Now, I needed to place all the PEX tubing through the house. Remember, the basement tubing was installed prior to pouring the basement slab. The tubing on the main floor was pretty straightforward. I simply needed to look at the diagrams I'd come up with in the design phase and then place the tubing exactly as indicated. It was important that I used a lot of hold-down brackets on the tubing so that it didn't float later when the gypcrete was applied. The tubing patterns looked like they could be the Nazca lines in Peru. The tubing for the upstairs balcony rooms was another matter. I had to figure out how to get the correct heat transfer, but we were not using gypcrete on the upper floor. Placing the tubes under the USB flooring reduced the heat below the required amount. My wife came up with the idea of using hard styrofoam sheets and then placing thin cement hardy boards above the heat tubes. What a great idea. So we cut channels for the tubing in the styrofoam. We then placed metal heat distribution plates in the channels and then put the tubing in, just like the designs required. Once in place, I covered the tubes with 1/4 inch cement hardy board. I traced the lines of the tubing on the cement board so that I wouldn't accidentally put a screw through the tubing. I connected the ends of the tubes to the manifolds. I then filled and pressured the system with Hercules Cryotech 55% glycol hydraulic fluid. To ensure safety, I then contacted a licensed HVAC technician to come over and put the unit in operation. I needed to have someone check my work to see that it had been properly designed and installed. There were no issues. Episode 32, Build, Drains, Waste, and Vents. After you've completed your framing, the next item to be installed are the drain, waste, and vent pipes, also known as DWV. The reason for this is that you can run wires later around the pipes, but if you wired first, you would not be able to run pipes around the wires. The first DWV pipes that we installed were the ones that were placed in the gravel under the basement floor prior to pouring the slab. This includes the drains for the basement bathroom, the lift station, the sump pump, and the radon mitigation system. Once the slab was poured, these pipes and buckets were simply sticking out of the slab, hopefully lined up where a future 2x6 wall would be. Now that we have the house framed, we need to run the rest of the DWV pipes. We'll begin with the radon mitigation system. The requirement is to run a 3 or 4 inch non-perforated PVC Schedule 40 pipe vertically from the gravel layer stubbed up when the slab was poured, through the house's conditioned space and roof to safely vent radon and other soil gases outside above the house. You can see here where I have run the radon pipe up from the slab inside a 2x6 wet wall. You can see here the radon vent pipe, the one with the bend, passing through the attic truss space. The attic pipe should be labeled radon system. Remember, from our design episode, that an electrical outlet is required to be in the attic near this pipe, in case a powered radon suction fan is needed in the future. The plumbing vent is a straight pipe to the right. Here you can see the radon and plumbing pipes on the basement utility room ceiling. This is a good depiction of the drains and vents for the main bathroom and the laundry room. All the drains are present at about knee height, except for the toilet drain on the floor. From the knee height drains, the vents go up and join to a single vent that is vented through the attic space and roof. Here's another bathroom with its drains and vents. This is a view of the island drain and vent system. Remember, the vent is required to go up as high as possible below your island counter, and then go back down to eventually join to another vent that is above counter height. The drain has the black cap. The white cap on the right is for a cleanout, just in case the vent pipe with its low area becomes clogged. By the way, the opening at the top of the pipes just means I haven't glued in the connector pipe yet. The two sides will be connected. Here is a view of the main septic line in the basement, heading out to the septic tank. And lastly, here are the main drains connecting and exiting the house out to the septic tank. Notice the cleanout just prior to the house exit. Well, actually, I hadn't glued it in yet, but it goes where you'll see the purple PVC primer on the open pipe.